Hello, my name is Pascal Luban. I'm a creative director and a game designer and freelance. I come from France, and I'm very happy to be here today in Hyderabad at the IGDC.
Okay, so let's get started with with a very straightforward question. I mean, what got you into gaming? I know you've got an interesting life history, so I just want to know what kind of got you into gaming.
It's kind of surprising. Actually, I got into the game industry nearly 25 years ago, but before I had another life. Initially I got a BA in economics and an MBA, so I started my life in marketing. And then about 25 years ago, when the PlayStation and the 3DO came up,
Right.
I decided, to quit everything and go into gaming. So I started, at that time where basically the industry was in the process of building itself. Even the term game designer did not exist.
Right.
So it was really a time of pioneers.
Right. Okay. So I'll tell you what. I mean, you have obviously been, doing a lot of master classes all over the world, where you interact with everybody from students, aspiring game designers, and some folks from some really big companies all over the world. And this was, I mean, yesterday was your first master class in India. How did that go? Let's talk a little bit more about your master class.
Yes, I was very happy with what happened yesterday. I had a very interested crowd. People asked a very interesting question as well. So it turned out to be a very, very good event. I understand that there is a vibrant community who is trying to make good games. They can also rely on the heavy history and artistic background of India.
Right.
So I expect to see interesting titles coming out from here. I saw some games made by indie developers. I saw some good production values. So I'm looking forward to Indian productions in the coming years.
Right. So let's speak a little bit more about the content, and what you actually spoke about. And you're obviously a thought leader in the global game industry. So let's talk a little bit more about what kind of interesting information and thoughts and insight that you were able to share with the people in your masterclass yesterday.
Yes, the masterclass was devoted to freemium design. Freemium design is how you design a game which is going to be based on the free-to-play business models, which is very difficult. Right. Because I'm used to say that in the past, a game designer had only one responsibility, to make fun games. But today, a game designer has to make fun games and to be able to monetize them. So it's a quantic shift in the way we have to do our own job, and it's actually very complicated to integrate many different aspects. Game system, level design, monetization, communication, onboarding, you have to think of everything at the same time. And that's one of the reasons I decided to offer this masterclass to here, obviously, but also in other countries, because I felt there was a need, for some kind of practical and dense learning on this issue.
Right. So I'll tell you what, I mean, when we spoke a little earlier today, you mentioned that you obviously started your career building and designing games for PC, and then you moved into mobile. I mean, what's the genesis and what is the change in the thought process and the approach to development of games? And obviously you have gone back into developing things for console again.
Absolutely, yes. What is unique about my situation is that I have always been freelance, which is something unique in the industry, because most people are freelance usually for a short period of times. But in my case, I decided to make a life out of it. So the benefit of being freelance is that I follow the flow of the market. So basically, I work where there's a demand. So when I started, the demand was for PC and home console titles. And then Facebook came, so I work on Facebook games. Then mobile, and now because the mobile market is so overcrowded, my clients are asking me to work on Steam game, PC, console, even on hybrid games.
So let's talk a little bit more about your work on Unreal 3. Can you talk a little bit more about that, in terms of all the great stuff that actually happened on one of the levels that you designed?
City of Tornado was a map actually designed for AGA. AGA used to produce a physics accelerating kart, and they wanted to have a set of maps working on the Unreal 3 engine for Unreal 3 tournaments. And they wanted, a map to showcase what we could do with this physics accelerating kart. And this map was a real challenge because we wanted to be super spectacular. This is why the main, the star of the map, it's a real-time tornado. And I wanted this tornado to be graphically spectacular, but also to have an impact on the gameplay. This is why it's interesting. It's a map where basically the tornado forces the player to adapt their strategy as they play the map, because the tornado blocks certain path, destroy the map, so open other path. So the idea is that it's not fixed map. It's a map that will evolve, and as a result, players have to adapt their strategy. So clearly, physics had an impact on the gameplay.
Right. I mean, that's a very, very interesting. I've played that game very, very briefly, and I kind of found that it was, quite. I mean, probably the first time ever that we actually gotten the opportunity to actually have physics being integrated in such a heavy manner in any console game. So we were just talking about, you have a lot of advice and a lot of years of experience behind you. What are some of the tips that you would give to budding game entrepreneurs, who are looking to build studios, larger studios, working on some larger games at some point in time?
Okay, first I would recommend to start on very small game. Their focus should be on team building and simply just learning, the process of making a game. So this means that they should focus on production value. This is very important. They should also focus on level design, on retention, on onboarding. And at that stage, the purpose is not to make money, but really, just to learn how to make good game. After that, when they start to have experience, they should change their focus. They should rather focus on more ambitious games where creativity is at the heart. So in that case, they should focus on creative concept, monetization, and also they should get into the habit of incorporating very early on marketing and communication. In other words, this is something what we see today on games. There are just so many games. If you don't plan how you're going to communicate on your game very, very early on, it's going to be a real problem later on. Yes, the last thing I would like to say, I want to stress the importance of team building. To make a good game, it's not enough to have good talents. You must have a team. It's exactly like in a football team. You can have 10 talents, they won't make a team. A team means that people work together, they understand each other, they just work as a whole body. And maybe this is, the ultimate advice you can give to people who want to start making game. Make a team first and then go into game development.